they've been taking longer to respond to your messages. Did I do something wrong? Maybe they're talking to someone else. You're rowing a boat, you're going somewhere, you're paddling, but you don't believe that you can actually reach the shore. This is a very scary feeling. That's exactly how overthinking feels like. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As an overthinker myself, I know how exhausting it can be when your mind just simply won't shut up. So I'll save you from overthinking about whether to watch this video or not. Here's exactly what you'll learn today. Number 1, the psychology behind why we overthink and what it does to our happiness. Number 2, a powerful framework that I learned from a 心灵课程 to break free from overthinking. Number 3, practical examples you can apply right away to work, school, or relationships.
先提醒大家，今天的影片会有一点点难。想要下载讲义的话，要到公开笔记资料夹；没有这个资料夹，要到 lily.english.co 领取哦。
So let's get started. Let's start with a quick thought experiment. Let's think of 3 things that you believe would truly make you happy right now. Maybe it's landing a job at Google, losing 5 kilograms, or finally dating your crush. Anything. But what if I tell you that achieving all these things, whatever is on your mind, won't actually make you happier? You probably wouldn't believe in me. You would think that that's not true. No way. Like, if I could get all these things, I would be so much happier. Life would be completely different. It would be a whole new world. But let's think back to yourself 5 years ago. What were your goals back then? Some of you might have achieved some of your goals. Maybe you got that promotion that you wanted. Maybe you moved to a better place, or you found a girlfriend or boyfriend. But let's be honest. Are you significantly happier now than you were back then? I think for most of us, the honest answer would be no. No matter how many goals you've achieved, how many things that you've done that you thought was going to make you happy. This is what psychologists call hedonic adaptation. It's a fascinating concept that suggests no matter what happens in our lives, good or bad, we tend to return to our baseline level of happiness. The graph would look something like this. We start out at our happiness baseline, and then life throws us a curveball, maybe a breakup or losing a job. We're devastated, right? So happiness plummets. But time heals, so gradually we recover and return to our baseline. Then something amazing happens. Maybe we land our dream job or we buy a house. Like, we made it in life. Happiness shoots up. But after the initial excitement phase, we eventually drift back to the same baseline. And this graph precisely explains why we overthink. We would spend hours, days, sometimes even years obsessing over decisions because we believe that those decisions would permanently change our happiness level. We would think that if we just choose that one right career path, or if we could find that one perfect partner, or make that one right investment decision, we might just completely change our life and we would be permanently happy. We might look at some people and think that they've got all those decisions figured out because they have stable finances, they have successful careers, or seemingly perfect relationships. From the outside, it looks like they're just living this permanently elevated level of happiness. But this graph is ultimately what life comes down to for everyone, anyone you see. This is just how we're programmed. I've experienced these ups and downs myself too. I was here, top of the world, when I hit 100,000 subscribers. And then I was here when my online course just didn't perform as expected. And then I'm here again when I launched 刷刷库. It's my app. And then down here when I realized that the app's initial success would take a lot longer than I expected. It was just last month that I had the pleasure to meet Connor, the CEO of Speak, an AI learning language company backed by OpenAI. They are now valued at $500 million. How many zeros is that? But even at that level of success, he shared similar stories of highs and lows in building Speak. 那如果你还没有听说过 Speak， 它是目前排名第一的 AI 英文口说 App， 在全国40个国家已经有超过1000万名使用者。但是最让我惊艳的是，他们对于台湾市场的用心程度。我这次有机会见到 CEO Connor， 就是因为他带着来自7个国家的团队成员，特地飞来台湾，就是为了要了解台湾在地使用者的需求。而且这个月啊 ，Speak 的更新版本真的是诚意满满，因为新增了超多专门为台湾人设计的真人中英双语课程，真人老师会指出台湾人常犯的错误。
Playing with friends， 玩不就是 play 吗？但是用在这里听起来很幼稚，像小孩子在玩游戏一样。Try this instead. I like hanging out with friends.
Speak 甚至还加入了注音符号来帮助我们理解英文发音哦。
hang 后面的 ing 就简单了，就是应该的音 hanging. Let's try it.
Hang。
那最让我印象深刻的是内容的在地化。Speak 上面你会学到我住在宝雅附近，或者是我住在全联后面，这种你生活中真的会用到的表达方式哦。那刚刚的内容都是来自 Speak 的进阶初级沉浸式主题课程，是由真人老师授课。不过 Speak 的强项当然就是 AI 畅聊啦，你可以自由选择主题，想用英文聊什么都可以哦。前阵子麦当劳不是有卖厚松饼汉堡吗？不知道大家有没有点到？我们就在 Speak 上面体验一下没有点到的遗憾吧。
Good morning. Welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you today?
Can I get a McGriddles and a hot coffee?
I'm sorry, but we are sold out of McGriddles today. Would you like something else?
还真的卖完了耶。那假设呢，你不知道要回答什么，也可以点右上角，然后开启初学者模式。这时候呢，就会显示翻译提示，也可以调慢音档哦。那这时候你想说好可惜，可惜的英文有些人会说成 pity，so pity. Can I get pancakes and a hot coffee instead? 点击星号就可以看到及时的纠正啦。So pity 不是正确的表达，应该要说 that's a pity 才对哦。对话结束之后呢 ，Speak 还会把你的错误变成一个专属的课程哦。
That's a pity. I was looking forward to it.
That's a pity. I was looking forward to it. 那无论你是想要提升口说能力，学习更道地的英文表达，或者是加强文法和单字 ，Speak 都能够成为你的专属英文家教。那新用户现在有7天免费试用，用我在资讯栏的连结订阅年方案的话呢，还可以享有年订阅299元的折扣哦。Now let's get back to our discussion about happiness and overthinking. We overthink because we assume our decisions would bring long-term happiness, and if we screw this one up, we're doomed. It's over. But remember the thought experiment we did earlier? Even though we're somehow better than we were 5 years ago, we're still somehow at a happiness baseline. Just okay, getting by. Not very happy, but also not desperately miserable. I think at first, this might sound kinda devastating, as if nothing we do really matters. But this pattern actually reveals something powerful and very positive. We can see that the real key is not about chasing temporary highs or overthinking about making one right, perfect decision. Instead, it's more about changing our baseline level of happiness itself. How do we move that line though? Because it seems really set. How do we even do that? Science shows that this baseline is determined by 3 factors. Number 1, genetics. Number 2, life circumstances. And most importantly, our minds. While obviously we couldn't control our genes or what life throws at us, but there's one thing we can actively control, which is our mindset. But how can we work on our minds to make it happier, healthier? Because when it comes to physical health, it's very clear-cut. We have clear metrics for how a healthy body looks like. Blood pressure, heart rate, cholesterol levels. We know exactly what ranges indicate good health. But when it comes to mental health, we tend to only talk about unhealthy states like anxiety, depression, stress. We don't really know what a healthy mind would look like. And if we can't define it, how can we work towards it, right? And now I'd like to get into the 心灵课程 that I found immensely helpful. Well, I use the term 心灵课程because people have been talking about 心灵课程 everywhere, and I thought it's just easier for me to communicate. Anyways, it is Dr. Paul Conti's talk on the Huberman Lab podcast. It is a 3-part mental health wellness course. It is science-backed, completely free, and definitely not a cult. Dr. Conti identifies 2 key indicators of a healthy mind: agency and gratitude. Agency 可以翻译成行动力、主导权、自主性。It is about our ability to take meaningful action and make choices in our lives. And gratitude 就是感恩的心的意思。Well, this still sounds very abstract. It's like everyone wants to have power, take action, and then be grateful, right? How does that look like in real life? So I'm gonna come up with some more concrete examples. Think about the last time you were working on an important project. Maybe it's like a presentation at work or just a paper for school. Your mind starts racing. What if this is not good enough? Or what if people don't like it? What if I make a mistake? Blah, blah, blah. We've all been there. This is very classic overthinking, right? I think at surface level, agency might just look like, oh, I simply take action. I practice the presentation one more time, or I proofread the paper one more time, right? But if it was that simple, I'd be just giving you some old advice, stop thinking so much and just do something. We all know that that doesn't really help. So what exactly is agency, and how is it different from just taking action? I think agency is not only about doing things, but about deeply believing that our actions can create meaningful change. When we practice that presentation one more time or proofread the paper one more time, we're not just going through the motions. We're not only doing it because we have to or checking boxes. We genuinely believe that each rehearsal will make us more confident, or each revision would get us a higher grade. The thing is, many overthinkers actually take plenty of action. We're often the ones staying up late, double checking, triple checking our work, but we're doing it from a place of anxiety, not agency. We're doing it because we're scared, not because we're empowered. We're doing all these things while still feeling helpless about the outcome. That's because taking action without a sense of agency, it's more or less like you're rowing a boat. You're going somewhere, you're paddling, but you don't believe that you can actually reach the shore. This is a very scary feeling, and that's exactly how overthinking feels like. I think after having a sense of agency, instead of feeling like life is happening to me, I can see that every choice that I make, every action that I take can actually shape what is happening next. I wouldn't say it is 100% the truth and that is the reality of the universe, but I just think that is such a great mindset to have and just such a healthy thing to think. And then let's talk about gratitude. Like, don't worry, I won't tell you to write down 3 things that you're grateful for every morning. I wouldn't say that is not helpful, but gratitude, at least in this framework, is something entirely different. Let's say you're facing a really tough challenge. Maybe it's a project or a lesson that you feel like it's way beyond your abilities. Most gratitude practices would tell you to focus on the positive side. It's hard, but at least you have a job, you're not sleeping on the streets, or at least you're learning something new. That's just, to me, not really gratitude. It's just almost forced positivity. And it's classic 看开一点，人要知足 that type of rhetoric, which again, not very helpful. But gratitude in Dr. Conti's framework is more about recognizing that this is very challenging, this is very hard, I'm struggling, this is difficult, life is effed up, like this is really hard to get through. Like recognizing that, just be honest with it. Because it's difficult, that's precisely why it's a great opportunity to be grateful for. And just genuinely appreciate that pain is part of growing. Starting to value the strength that we're building along a really difficult path is what gratitude really looks like. So now that I've outlined what agency and gratitude look like in real life, let's do a final practice with relationships, an area where many of us tend to overthink the most because people are complicated. You've been dating someone for a few months and lately they've been taking longer to respond to your messages. The overthinking mind would immediately go to, oh, did I do something wrong? Maybe they're talking to someone else. Maybe, I don't know. Without agency and gratitude, we might just spend hours analyzing their texting patterns or creating imaginary scenarios in our heads. But what if we have agency and gratitude? We have that really healthy mind to face challenges in life. With agency, we realize that we don't have to be passive observers or anxiously monitoring their every move and message. Instead, we can recognize that we can influence the situation through open, honest communication. This isn't about controlling the outcome, not about wanting him or her to react a certain way. It's about knowing that our authentic expression can create a positive change. Even though that change looks different from what we initially hoped for, we would still see it as a positive change. With gratitude, we're not trying to pretend that being treated poorly is somehow a blessing in disguise. We're not forcing ourselves to be thankful for other people's toxic behavior. Instead, we can recognize and appreciate our own growth through the challenge, how we're becoming better at setting boundaries, how we're learning to communicate our needs, and most importantly, how we're developing the courage to face difficult situations with dignity. Agency and gratitude aren't magic solutions that will make someone text you back faster or guarantee a happy ending. What they do is that they transform how we show up in difficult situations. Instead of being trapped in anxious overthinking, like wondering what's wrong with us, what are they doing, we become active participants in our own growth. It's not like we have agency and gratitude and we can like be with our crush or like get our dream job. Like, no, that's just not true. We would have so much more power than just trying to paddle somewhere without knowing if we're going to get there. Remember the graph we talked about earlier? It will always have its ups and downs, and it's in our genes. It's just part of fate. But with agency and gratitude, we don't have to feel like we're at the mercy of every high and low. Instead, we can build a steadier, happier baseline. This video has truly been a lot of work, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Share it with another overthinker. Spread the word. Alright, I think that's about it for today's video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye!